Lunchtime.
Lunchtime, eh?
It's squirrel meme.
Do you
Just accurately recreated it.
do you got stuff you want to talk about?
Not really. I haven't been doing much of anything this week. I've re-listened to Ready Player One in preparation for the movie.
Yeah, I heard
next
that's
week.
not going so well.
Yeah, I just finished it today. I think the latter half of it is probably going to be easier to convert to a movie
really?
than the first half. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with that. Curious what old Spielberg's got up his sleeve.
Well, I mean, you can't make a full length book into a full length movie. You got to cut shit out.
Mm-hmm.
So like, can they just cut the first half of the book out?
No, because a lot of it is character establishment, and then also the book itself. I mean, the whole plot is wrapped up in the book. There are probably things that they can cut, but it's not that long of a book either. It's 15-hour audiobook, so
it's more of a novella length, you'd say. I'm never sure.
Not like Artemis, but
yeah,
not as short as that.
Okay.
About twice as long.
I wonder how long it take to read Artemis. I heard the Artemis's audiobook is
it's like
Rosario
9
Dawson.
hours. She's great.
Oh,
like,
you listened to it?
She changed my definition of what audiobooks can be, frankly. Like, she's so much better than just the emotion she puts into everything.
Right. She's when I heard it was her reading Artemis. Maybe we should talk about Artemis. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's the perfect person to convey this character, such as it is. I was wondering, because, we've done a lot of transgressive things here on Bald Move. We've broken a lot of rules. Do you want to violate HIPAA confidentiality on this lunch?
Confidentiality?
Do you want to violate a HIPAA law?
What's the HIPAA law?
Well, so the way I look at it, you are like, to a certain Obi-Wan Kenobi point of view, my employer. And you have knowledge about my medical condition and treatment that you could disclose on the air right now against my expressed verbal wishes.
Oh, I had no plans to.
Well, but you could, and that would be violated. We could do that as like
just as a big middle finger.
Yeah,
double robot middle
it's
fingers.
like insurance BDSM. I want you to consensually, non-consensually violate my HIPAA, my HIPAA privacy. You're visibly uncomfortable with this.
I don't know. It's a very weird conversation.
I don't want you to talk about my medical condition, Jim.
Okay, well then I won't.
But it would be super cool to violate my HIPAA rights.
It's not gonna happen.
Start the Bald Move. All right, so
that is a choice for you to make.
Yeah, I thought I'd talk about it because, like, I've gotten a lot of messages like, "Oh, you're so strong, Aaron," for like all the stuff that you were going through in the last few weeks. But turns out this weekend, I thought I was having a heart attack. I legit. Like, at 41 years old, I'm like, well, I do have a history of heart disease. This is super young, but shit, Kevin Smith, like, almost died of a heart attack 2 weeks ago. And yeah, I'm not like Kevin Smith out of shape, but I'm in that neighborhood. Like, I don't smoke like I've never smoked tobacco, and I'm not as overweight as him. But, like, sedentary lifestyle, and we both like bacon. There's a lot of similarities. And I just had this, like, crushing pain in my chest, and I couldn't breathe, and I started sweating profusely, and I couldn't get my breath, and I'm like, shit, Cecily, maybe we should go to the emergency room, because I started looking up symptoms online, and like there was like this pain coming up through my neck and jaw, and like these are all like signs of a heart attack. So I went in and they did like blood tests, and they did EKGs, and they did a couple other tests, and it turns out, and then I went in for a follow-up with a cardiologist the next day just to rule it out. They actually, here's what's fucked up about America. The attending physician at the ER said, well, we just did 3 independent tests. We did a scan of your heart, we did an EKG, we did blood work, and there's no signs that you've had a heart attack. But we want to admit you in a hospital just in case. And if you want to leave, you have to sign this paper saying it's against medical advice. And I'm like, but like, what are you saying? He goes, well, you have a very, very small. Like, I don't think you're having a heart attack. It's a very, very, very small chance that you're having a heart condition. But if you are, you could die tonight. But on the other hand, if you stay in a hospital, you will certainly pay whatever my deductible is, $3,750, $3,750. And I'm like, I'll roll the dice. But like going home that night, like, I'm kind of an anxious person anyway. Every single time I started nodding off to sleep, I woke up with this panic response like, oh my God, you're dying. And my heart just, and it's doing like these flip flops and all kinds of this shit. So I go see a cardiologist on Monday, and he does like this fancier version of EKG. Like the other one had like 7 sensors attached. This one had like 14. And like my
twice as good.
Yeah. So my chest now looks like I've had this crazy Brazilian wax job kind of thing after all this stuff. And he says, but he says you were going down the list of things that could be like indigestion, this kind of this. And he's like, well, what about, are you prone to panic attacks? And I'm like, no, wait. It's been 15 years, but yeah, I had a bunch of panic attacks some time ago. And he goes, it might be one of those. Are you under a lot of stress? And I'm like, yeah. And I started thinking, the more I thought about it, how analogous the situation was, because back when I had a panic attack before, I was working like 75 hours a week at this really demanding tech job with like customers up my ass all the time. And for like 3 months, I've been looking forward to like this 5-day weekend. Mm-hmm. And like, if I can just get this 5-day weekend, everything will be fine. And I got to the 5-day weekend, and then my body's like, oh, we can relax now. We're just gonna fucking lose our shit. Here's all this anxiety you haven't been dealing with. And I think that similarly, because I've been working on this secret project I haven't talked about. I've been really busy with Bald Move. There's been a lot of house projects. There's been a lot of shit going on at Jack School. And I've been thinking, like, I'm slipping on a couple of these things, but Jim's going away for Italy for 11 days, and I'll have all the time in the world to catch. I can fucking rip out that fence and replace it. I can get a lot of work done on this project. I can get all the Bald Move stuff done. And then my granddad spends that 11 days almost dying the whole time, and I'm going back and forth to Indianapolis. So none of that got done. And then now my granddad, he seems like he's on the road to making a full recovery. It's like a kind of a miraculous. He's in this recovery home with his girlfriend. It's all very sweet. I visited him last weekend, and you've never seen something as heartbreaking as 2 90-year-olds trying to kiss each other goodnight across their walkers before they're tucked into their beds at 7:30. But he's fine, and I feel like that as soon as the crisis was over, once again, my mind and my body had a meeting, and they're like, no, this guy's just going to lose his fucking shit. And I should have recognized, because now that I think about it, it's felt exactly like it did. It's just like when I was 26 or 27, I just did not consider that I could be having a heart attack.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like it's important to talk about this stuff because, especially since I'd taken all this praise about like, being strong, and I'm not saying I'm weak because this happened at all. I'm just saying that even a very strong, mentally resilient person who spent a lot of time working on shit can fall victim to like, it's your body can only take so much stress and aggravation. And I tend to be a borderline workaholic, which is all well and good until unscheduled stuff happens, and that's when like this kind of shit starts getting to me. So I don't know what the long term, like I
feel like short term you should probably take a vacation, especially coming up into a busier season for us.
Yeah, but where would I go?
I mean, don't even go anywhere. Just take some time away from some of the responsibilities.
I didn't even see that's like that. I never even considered that as a remedy.
Like when I went to Italy, the responsibility
just
like
reset,
was completely gone, and I felt like 10 times better. So honestly, like just stepping away for maybe a week, even 2 weeks if you need it.
I did find out I'm in remarkably good physical health. I have like a resting heart rate of 65 beats per minute still, even though I've not been like doing anything this winter. My blood pressure was borderline like pre-hypertension stage 1 when I last had it taken before I left for Bald Move. And I was telling the guy, like he's like, oh, I want you to do this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, I was under a lot of crazy stress because I'm moving and I'm starting this new business, and I'm also working full time for this other job. And I think it was all, so like my blood pressure was back into completely normal range. So yeah, like I hadn't been to a doctor in like 7 years.
Yeah.
So now I've also got a follow-up appointment I've finally got sat down and found a fucking family doctor that takes our insurance, and I'm going to have a full checkup and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was thinking more of like, trying to de-stress somehow. Because that's a crazy thing. I shouldn't like, and a lot of this stuff is temporary anyway. Like, I don't think my granddad's going to like be near death every other week. Maybe he will. Maybe this is the new normal. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. Just wanted to. It was a scary situation. Scared the shit out of my kid. Scared my wife. And yeah, it seems like I'll keep you guys posted if there's something weird or wrong with me. But it seems like it's just the panic attacks. So
Okay. Well,
there you go.
That's better than a heart attack.
It's better than a heart attack. Better than a heart attack. But what did you think when you got the text on Sunday? Because I'm like, shit, I should let Jim know because like we got a live watch and shit tonight. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to the emergency room.
That was not my first thought. Like, I knew that we had the live watch, but I was just like, oh shit, like.
First thought, man,
I hope you're okay.
We should have got insurance on this fucker. Man, he's been saying this for years. We should have gotten this done.
My first thought was my insurance agent.
Go to lose the whole empire because this fucker can't keep his heart unclogged. Ah.
No, I was worried about you, first and foremost. And then, like 2 hours before the live watch, I was thinking, oh, I should probably figure out like if we're gonna do this thing tonight.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, keep me updated.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the thing about this is, like, I never know what's going to, like, I mean, my problem is always, like, I never know what's going to be the thing that puts me over to the edge. And if I am not, like, pretty busy, I feel pretty crummy, too.
Yeah.
So it's, like, this delicate, like, balance game. And I guess I played it pretty well because it's been a long time since I had one of these. But anyway, that's the latest Aaron drama.
Yeah. It's tax season too. Tax season and grandpa season.
It's it's so cool because our accountant was very sweet. When she saw this shit going on with Granddad, she said, "Hey, I just took the liberty of filing an extension for you guys because I don't think this is going to happen."
Yeah.
Because and I thank God because I was like that was the other thing I was going to like finalize while you were on vacation. See, that's the thing. How the fuck am I going to rip out a fence, put in a fence, start a Twitch stream, keep all the bald move shit running? And do my taxes and do the company's taxes and work on this project all in the same fucking time. And I remember thinking like, hey, and in the other spare time I might like fucking get my motorcycle running again. Why do I fucking do this, man? Jesus.
You have that personality.
Yeah.
I know it. I feel it too. Like I get bored when I don't do anything and I get stressed when I do too much.
Yeah.
Your line is probably up here, my line is probably down here as far as what we can reasonably take on, but yeah,
it's crazy shit.
I feel you.
I got 3 child-free weekends coming up in a row, and I plan to like try it because I do enjoy like physical work, so I am going to try to like tear out this fence line and maybe start taking some stabs, but like during the evenings I just want to fucking veg out.
I think you should take at least a week off, at the very least, just completely off. Not even think about work. Not even fucking think about it.
My heart's beating at 200 beats per minute. You saying taking a week off, but I don't know. We'll talk about it.
I'll hold the fort down while you're gone. I just had a good vacation, so
I don't know if I can take a full week off, but we'll talk about it. It's a generous offer to make, though. Fuck. Should we get to the listener stuff now?
Sure.
All right. You want to go first, or I got one ready to go?
I don't have it pulled up, so yeah.
Darwin Fishy wants to know our thoughts on Sea of Thieves.
It's good, but not great. The mechanics are awesome, and I really enjoy the ship battles and the sailing and all that stuff, but I think it's very light on content.
I don't think the game, as it's currently situated, is worth $60.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But if you can get it on like that Game Pass that Microsoft's got, it's essentially like the PlayStation Network Gold stuff where you get to play it for free. It's obviously a steal. If you've got a bunch of friends to play it with, it's a scream. Like we got between 10 and 20 hours on it, and I'm still certainly having fun. It's just shocking. Like I started for the first time looking at the cosmetics because, I'm like, okay, well, we're getting some money. We were in the low 5 digits gold in this stupid game, and the only thing to do with it is cosmetics. So let's start looking to pimp or ship out. So I'm looking at the prices, and I'm like, okay. It's like, so what's the expensive stuff? It's literally just palette swapped version of the cheap stuff. There's 4 variations of cosmetics for every slot in the game, and that's just textures and 3D models. Like I mean, like I was joking with Eric last night. If you took Eric and locked him in a closet for a week, he would have 20 different sail designs ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, what is the excuse for not having more of that? If this is all there is, where is the excuse for not having more of it? And then, like, it's also frustrating because, like, release day, we played the game for, 6 hours, and we saw 3 people.
Yeah.
And that was fun. The second day, we played for, 2 hours and saw 16 people. And then last night, we played for, 2.5 and saw no one. There was no skull storms. There was not shit to do but fight skeletons on deserted islands. And, that's rough.
Yeah.
That is rough.
Yeah, I did not have a ton of fun last night, despite it being a new ship and a three-man team.
If it wasn't for the fact that Eric this is all new to him, and we were like able to show him some of the sillier mechanics, like throwing up on each other and shooting each other out of cannons, like just kind of showing and telling your friend is fun. But yeah, and we made more money. But like it's also like, you know, so I worked to get my 3 factions leveled up to 5. And because that's what the mysterious stranger, and I'm like, oh well, this is gonna be the main quest line. And then I did that, and she's like, oh, 5 is good, but 10 is better. And I'm like, okay. So I got up to 10, and like I swear to God, it's like, you know, 10 now I'll go for 15. Like,
yeah,
what
absolutely,
the fuck?
It will be. Yeah, I've read that. It goes. I don't know how high it goes. I think maybe 50.
Yeah.
But it opens up like a couple of different options when you go to vendors to actually buy new stuff.
But I don't know why, because like the merchant quests are ass. Like they're all fetch quests, but this pick up a chest and then go find these chickens and put them in it, and like that's like the dumbest. It's dumb as hell. It's not nearly as rewarding as just going and finding a chest full of gold.
Right, that's the thing. There is only one type of quest in this game, and it's a fetch quest.
Yeah, and you fetch things differently. Like one, you follow a map, you dig on a beach. One, you follow a map and fight skeletons until one of them drops a skull. And then the other, you find crates and fetch chickens, but they're all just go out into this world and bring something back for money.
Yeah. There's no like, hey, go destroy this ship that there's a bounty on and take its gold.
But it's
none of that.
It's so weird because like the game itself feels so solid.
Yeah.
And the things that are wrong with it are in large part like art assets. Like why isn't there an in-betweener ship? Why do you have a sloop and a galleon? Where's the like 2-mast, 2-cannon brig? Where is, you know, where I should have like 50 different fucking pirate coats I can put on. And like 100 different beard styles. What you know, what's the deal? I don't get it. It seems like it's not like a No Man's Sky where it's just like not even much of a game. There's a lot of solid fun game, but then we haven't even talked about the PvP shit. The fact that you can sink a ship and it's super fucking rewarding, fulfilling. And then 30 seconds later the ship reappears right on the horizon, fully crewed,
fully stacked with
cannonballs and wood planks, and your ship is shot full of holes, and you're out of planks, and you got 3 cannonballs, and like, well, okay. That's like, or you go and you kill. That's the other thing. Like we, as a sloop, 2-man sloop, we took over a galleon. I murdered 2 of the people on the decks. I weighed the anchor, and I stole their fucking ship. That's as pirate as you can fucking be. That's more pirate than taking gold. And you know what happened? 30 seconds later, these fuckers spawned on their own ship and murdered me.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And if they hadn't murdered you, if you had been lucky enough to kill them, they would have come back 30 seconds later to try it all again.
Or I found the other thing is like they can just remote scuttle the ship. So like if they all vote to scuttle the ship, then like it's like
yeah, it's so stupid. Like that's
these are
the
easy solutions. Like
you
can spitball solutions. Like if your ship dies, you have to like respawn across the world or something. Like I don't know, man. It seems weirdly like so solid, and the easy stuff they just slapped. So maybe they can fix it quick, because I think if they take 3 months to get some of this stuff fixed,
that'd be great.
The player base is going to evaporate. Also, since we're on the video game subject, he wanted to know how does Into the Breach compare to FTL, and
I mean it's fun. It's not the same game in any way.
It's very like you see the pedigree and the DNA in like the UI and the pixel art style, but like this is Pacific Rim played on an 8x8 chessboard.
Yeah,
and it's very chess-like, where you've got to think through and it's slow down and think. Whereas FTL, the way I played it, was more just kind of run and gun and rapid iteration of bad ideas and. But yeah, it's rock'em sock'em robots and aliens, and it is a lot of fun. I want to get back once we get run through of Sea of Thieves. And what's this other game? Because he wanted to know what other games we're looking to stream.
Yeah, there's one called The Way Out, which is
that just released this week.
I think so. Yeah, okay. It's way up there on Twitch right now. People streaming it, but
wow,
it's a co-op 2-player experience where you are trying to escape prison, and it has almost like an Uncharted 4 kind of feel to it.
Right.
I don't know what the mechanics and stuff are, but visually it looks similar to that.
Yeah, we're gonna like check out that. Cecily and I've almost. That's what actually I had my fake heart attack. I was stringing HDMI cable through my basement, so I could tie my PlayStation together to my recording machine in the office. To make it easier for us to like, hey, we're home on a Wednesday night bored. Let's play Overcooked for an hour for the stream to do stuff like that. But my wife and I love playing couch co-op games, and I think it's a good time. We have a good time doing it, and I think other people would have a good time watching, so that feels natural. I don't know. It'd be awesome if we could get into something that's like co-op competitive. Like if we got into a PUBG or a Fortnite at the same time and like wanted to get good at duos. Like we've been doing this Sea of Thieves. You had this concept of like showing both screens at once, which I think has worked really well. And I think that would translate. So there's like no one else really does that kind of stuff that I've seen.
Yeah, not a lot of people. I've seen some people. Some people do like 4 different screens at once, which I think is cool. But yeah, I would like to do more of that stuff. And this co-op game, A Way Out, seems perfect for that.
Yeah. You got some tweets?
Sure. BJ Whitkoff says, Fortnite mobile and cross-platform. Game changer? What are the pros and cons?
I look forward to getting it on mobile, hooking up a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, and just fucking destroying it's totally cheating your way to the top.
Apparently it's cross-platform?
Well, the way Fortnite does cross-platform is essentially, the way I understand it, is a PC person can invite you by your Epic gamer tag to their matchmaking, but the consoles, the way I understand it, because someone on an Xbox offered to do duos with me, and I'm like, okay, but I looked into it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can do that between consoles. So it's cross-platform-ish, and I guess the real stick in the mud is PlayStation. Sony does not want to open their network to cross-play with anyone. So, bummer. Because Microsoft and who's the one that made that game? Microsoft and Epic have both said we definitely want cross-play to happen. So what I don't understand is why. Well, actually, I do, because if I'm using on-screen controllers on mobile, I do not want to play a person using a controller. And if I'm on a controller, I do not want to play with people using a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Like it's a stunt. Like when Drake wants to play with Ninja, like I could see it as like a stunt or something. Like I want to carry my buddy or whatever. But like they're just superior control systems. On-screen controls suck compared to controllers. Controllers suck compared to keyboard and mouse. Keyboard and mouse suck compared to the neural jacks that we're going to have into the base of our skull in 15 years. That's just the way it is. Yeah. So, Chinaski from California. Jim, did you eat anything else in Italy that wasn't Italian food? If so, how was it? And how was the wine? Did you eat any non-Italian food? Because all the food's Italian over there.
I don't think I did. I specifically wanted to eat Italian food while I was there. Like, what else would I want to eat?
Right. It's like when I go anywhere near like a shore, I just exclusively eat seafood.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they might have the best fucking steak joint in town, but you know what? I save that for Montana.
Yeah, that's the thing. My brother said that Florence is, I guess, known for its steaks, and I'm like, that doesn't really seem right to me. So I'm gonna stick with this lasagna. Thanks anyway. No, I can't think of any non-Italian food I ate while I was there, other than like the pretzels from the plane.
Did you try any wine?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. How was the Italian wine?
Most of it, actually, all of it was just regular table wine.
Like table wine.
Yeah, just get a carafe of that.
Yeah. Was it pretty good though?
Yeah, it was real good.
Because table wine
and it was
can
like
be hit or miss.
€4 for a carafe.
Damn.
Yeah, it was super cheap.
That's nice.
And it was good wine too.
That's real nice.
We had whites, we had reds, and they were all great.
All right. Twitter.
Simon says, "Hi guys, I'm going through a documentary phase at the moment. Do you have any suggestions on documentaries I could watch?" I've seen a lot. Let me go to my
The 13th is a great that is like a
about the amendment,
about like essentially it's about civil rights in America, with specifically African American civil rights. House I Grew Up In is something that David Simon collaborated with. It's a really great look at the like war on drugs. If you're sympathetic to the way I look at it, anyway.
Oh, Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon is yeah, sure. Cautionary tale. I've seen, so I guess there's a Mr. Rogers documentary that just dropped that I really want to see bad. Can't think of anything. I haven't finished the Vietnam War still. I got like 2 chapters left on that to go.
Oh, I thought you finished that a long time ago.
No.
Started it a long time ago.
Yeah, it started a long time ago. And it was super good, but it just like, they're also extremely long.
I've seen a lot of documentaries this year so far.
Yeah.
The Man Who Would Be Polka King. It's about Jan Levin.
Oh, we both like that. The toys I grew up on, or toys that we grew up with.
Yeah.
That's a Netflix series. It's got 4. Like it looks at. I think it's He-Man, Star Wars, Barbie, and G.I. Joe.
Yes.
I think those are the 4, and it does like a deep dive. And the Star Wars one's really fun because A, it's Star Wars, and B, like I had no idea that Kenner was based in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like these people that talking to Cincinnatians and like lots of shots of downtown that I thought was super cool. Who knew? I always thought that shit was, well, it probably was made in Hong Kong and China, but it was conceived here. And it's all those guys are pretty funny too.
Yeah, it was surprising how many characters were in that documentary.
Yeah, like how they just like kit bash this shit, like just like mocking this stuff up.
Using
and like
old socks
yeah,
that they
guys
were wearing
like,
at the time.
I realized I forgot to make the Jawa's robe, so I just took my brown sock off, cut a square out of it, stuck its hands like, here's the robe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dirty Money was actually pretty good. It's a docu-series about different, I guess, financial scandals or business scandals that happened over the past few years, which I thought was really good. Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond was really weird.
I finally watched that 2 weekends ago. It was the last thing I watched before bed, and I'm like, wow.
I was just uncomfortable the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I would hate to be on that set right now.
Yeah. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be mostly a talking head with Jim Carrey, like against some still shots, but there's so much behind the scenes making a video of him doing weird Andy Kaufman shit. It's strange.
Yep, that was good. I watched a documentary called Being George Clooney, which is about all the different voice actors who do the foreign translations of his movies and dub him.
It's like a reverse Lost in Translation kind of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. I don't know. That wasn't a great one, but yeah, I like Dirty Money and I like Jim and Andy.
Noel from Dallas wants to know if you had to pick a public restroom in which to drop a deuce to take a poop, where would that be? It has to be a specific place where you've gone before. For me, it's Buc-ee's. Pretty much any location. My fellow Texans know that their restrooms are notoriously clean.
I like the one at the Brown Dog. The Brown Dog up north.
You're making that
north
up.
Side of the city. No,
you drop deuces at the Brown Dog.
Yeah. So what I like is ultimate privacy, comfort, and quiet. So if I go into a bathroom and I can shut like a big honking door behind me, and I've got the place all to myself, and there's all I can hear is the music coming through this PA system.
Yeah.
That's the perfect bathroom for me.
All right.
And they've got one of those.
I mean, shit. Now we're talking. If we're just like no holds barred.
Yeah.
No bathrooms barred. What is the Brazilian steak house downtown? Bueno Brasi? Yeah, it's like Bueno Brasi, like something like that. Anyway, their bathrooms are magnificent. Like every stall is a fucking office complex.
That's
like a
what I
6x6 big door with like privacy slats that are kind of weird because they're angled up. So like sometimes when 3-year-olds walk by, I've made eye contact with them.
Oh no.
No, that's not cool. But they're like marble floors, and they've got like the actual fucking cloth towels. It's like I'm way too, that place is way too fancy for me. But day in day out, it's hard to beat like your average McDonald's or your average Speedway.
Yeah,
they tend
Starbucks or
they tend to give a shit about. Well, see, Starbucks would be nice, but like there are not a lot of convenient locations around here.
Yeah, it's weird.
They're all tucked in like fucking labyrinthine parking complexes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but because if I'm dropping a deuce in a public spot, it's not like I've got like, it's one of those things like we got to jump right at the door and the light is turning green. I don't have time to figure out what fucking right away bullshit I got to do to get here. Here's a McDonald's. Kaboom. So there we go. I think we're ready for Tweeter. Tweeter.
Let's see.
Hashtag a ball lunch.
Rory Tunningley says, have you read the book Ready Player One? It seems like it'd be right up your alley. Yes, obviously I have.
This is one you got one up on me. You've read that. Cecily's read that. I have not read that. So
getting into a lot of audiobooks lately. I've listened to.
Did Will Wheaton hold up on the read through, or did? Because I was wondering how much.
I don't really like Will Wheaton.
But
he's okay.
When you listen to it the first time, we kind of liked Will Wheaton. I don't know why I've stopped like Will Wheaton. I met him a couple times. I don't want to talk shit about him.
No, I don't either. I'm sure he's a fine guy. I don't know him, but there's something about his persona that comes across as a little too polished and fake to me.
And I don't want to, because I might be nerd bullying, because maybe he's that into he's like the same with Chris Hardwick. Like, you can't be that into everything, dude.
Right.
Like, one of the things I think about being a nerd is there is no nerd that likes all nerd shit. There's always one thing that they're just like, nah, fuck this thing.
Like fantasy for me. I don't care about fantasy.
Right.
For 99% of it.
Right. And I think that I've never seen Will Wheaton say, I understand why people like Lord of the Rings, but I just can't fucking get into like that or anything, whatever it is. Like, you got to have a strong opinion on something that's beyond, I just love that, it's amazing, and it feels insincere. If he's super sincere, I feel automatically bad because that's just my cynicism talking, but
yeah,
that's my cynicism talking.
I don't know. It's something, and when he's reading an audiobook, he speaks very properly at all times.
Does he
even
really?
when the dialogue and stuff doesn't
casual?
call for it? Have you ever heard someone? I don't know how to ask this question without giving away the answer. But have you ever heard someone pronounce the word poser as poseur?
No, I have
because
not.
He pronounces it like there's a passage in there like 7 times in about 10 minutes where he has to say the word poser, and he says it poseur every time.
I mean, I would do that shit on the reg, but I would hope the director would be like, whoa, cut, Aaron. Can we get another?
Random House production.
It's poser. It's poser, Will. Poser.
Right. Nobody in the 80s ever said, oh, you're such a fucking poseur.
You're poseur, man.
Because people would look at them and say, what the fuck are you talking about? It's poser, you loser.
That reminds me, I've got a winter jacket that is... It's zero exposure, but for the longest time I thought it said zero poser. Because I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's like, okay, this is kind of like a something a snowboarder would wear, so maybe that's that. But then Cecily pointed out, no, there's this giant X that's behind. You're supposed to, it's zero. I'm like, oh, I get it. AJ says some follow-up questions from Seattle. Let's pretend Sea of Thieves had a battle royale mode. First, oh my god, this mode is so much fun, right? Second, do you go for the 2-man sloop or the 4-man galleon?
I haven't had much experience fighting in the galleon, so I don't really know yet. But the sloop is highly maneuverable.
I've had experience fighting the 4-man galleon, and it does seem like it's hard to beat a competently crewed galleon. Like, I don't know that the best 2-man sloop can beat the best 4-man galleon. And that, honestly, that describes the meta. If the best of one version cannot beat the best of the other version, then the other version is the one you should be using if you got the crew.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like it is fun to embarrass a poorly crewed, on that first day, people had no idea how to fire cannons, man.
Yeah.
It was crazy, which I get it. It's like kind of weird, but like, I don't know. I thought the physics aspect of it was super fun.
Yeah.
Like when you can like curve a shot into their hull, like it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I think if I had a choice, I'd go galleon. I'd get 3 other buddies that were taking the game serious, and we would just sweep the seas clean. That would seem like it'd be a lot of fun
for 30 seconds until everybody respawns.
But then it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're good enough, like you could just like, because that's the other side of this, like the griefing side of this, is I've heard that it's not fun to have a 4-man galleon like outside of outpost just blasting the shit out of you, and you can never get away from them. Like they just harass, like you cannot even get out of port because they sink you before you even get a chance.
Yeah. So it sucks.
Anyway, another hashtag bald lunch.
Taquito says, you often say that you dislike media that quote unquote preaches to the choir. What do you mean by this? And what media outlets or podcasts don't do this? I don't know that I dislike media that preaches to the choir. I just think it's not very effective. If that's
It's very
you're trying to change people's minds.
Yeah,
there's no point.
It's very because I guess like
I listen to a lot of preaching to the choir type stuff, like
right, and that's like yeah, and there's use for it, but like I forget the exact passage, but Socrates is arguing with this other asshole. I think it's Gorgias. And he says something about like, I love to be proved wrong because then I am improved. If I have an argument and I'm right, I've sharpened your steel, or maybe you're like, fuck you, I don't want to listen to it, but I haven't learned a damn thing. So I guess I like things that challenge me and like teach me new things. And I've got a very limited amount of time on Earth. If I'm going to argue with something about somebody, I want it to have the maximum effect. So like preaching to the choir is essentially assuming that everyone listens to something, agrees with you, and then you rah boost it, and that quickly devolves into, isn't it stupid when this other people does this? Or, it just seems like everything gets tribal and gross. And I think we already have enough tribal gross stuff in the world that we need more people like factually debating things and getting to the bottoms of things. And that's what if I was going to do something and engage in stuff, that's the kind of stuff I'd like to engage in. Danuk said, Jim and Aaron, in the About section of your website, you wrote about having played a round of Magic the Gathering back in 2009. Have you touched any cards since? Can you talk a little bit about Jim and Aaron, the Magic players? What cards or decks do you like?
I always like Blue Control.
Yeah, you do.
Blue Control, it's a ton of fun to play.
So fucking frustrating.
It's a little trolly. But yeah, I enjoy it.
So my glory days were like in the Alara block and the Zendikar block. Like that's when I really got into it. And I remember predicting with Jim and Peter, like, I'm going to be super into this game until the first block rotates out of play. And then I'm going to be like, fuck this game. This is stupid. And that's pretty much what happened. And I usually, like, once a year when we get together, the boys will have a draft pack, just a booster draft just for fun.
Yeah.
Because fucking Magic, there's a reason it's been around for a long time.
You guys want to do some sports betting in Vegas? We should do it then.
Just that's a golden idea. Yeah.
While you guys bet on sports and I don't.
Right. And you'll just
I'll just drink.
You'll just clean up on that. I'm trying to think. One thing, because someone was asking in the forums about collectability and how do you know what's going to be valuable, and I was just making offhand comments like I had no idea that this would be valuable when I was collecting it, and I gave it several examples, and I'm like, I'm just curious, I'm going to look at some of this stuff up. Holy shit, some of this stuff that I've got is worth a lot of money right now.
Huh.
Like I've got first appearance of of Gambit. I've got the first appearance of Deadpool. I've got the first appearance of Cable. Deadpool and Cable especially are shooting up in value because of the upcoming movie.
Right.
And I looked at some of my old Bant decks. Those Noble Hierarchs are like $135 a piece now.
You had at least 4 of them. You had a play set.
No, I've got like 6 or 7, and two or three more foilies, which are even worth more, because these things, like, I guess if any creature gives you mana, that is a fucking card to collect, and because like those things are like very highly sought after. Any kind of mana acceleration is highly sought after in legacy play. And yeah, I've got like a bunch. Also, those unhinged lands are like $20-25 a piece.
Yeah, it's crazy.
An unopened unhinged booster deck, which I have or booster pack, which I have like 20 of. I got tired of opening just for the lands. I bought these for $0.25 a piece. They're worth like $25-30, and the lands are like $20 a piece. I bought those lands for like 50 cents a piece back in the day. Just because they were pretty.
Or because you showed up to F&M and didn't have lands, and we're like, oh shit, well, pull them out of the box.
And that was a literal joke deck, and it's worth like, so you fucking never know.
No, you can never know with collectibles. That's nonsense talk. Like, I'm gonna buy this thing and collect it, and it's gonna be worth more later.
But yeah, that's one of my other projects I want to work on, is I want to go catalog my Magic collection and see, because I wouldn't be surprised if I had several $1,000s in that cardboard shit, and they're all in really good condition because I always played sleeved. I think it's your turn.
Mike Regan wants to know, I know you guys don't cover comedy TV. I agree with your take that they can be fairly one-dimensional, but curious as to what are some of your favorite TV comedies.
Always Sunny, Archer, Parks and Rec. Community. Fucking love Community. Rick and Morty. That seems like a pretty good top 5.
Yeah, a lot of those are some of my favorites too.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, because like I think Seinfeld is funny, but I found that like I very rarely like going back to things I found funny like 15, 20 years ago and watching them again, because it reveals,
I was thinking of modern stuff.
Yeah, like nothing, like as good as some of the old stuff was, like I feel like most modern humor is better. Like as we go, like our senses of humor change and adapt, and like that stuff, maybe that stuff will become funny again. But we're like, the older the material, the more I'm like, oh God, that's not very funny. Then I am like, oh, that's hysterical. But
right,
that's my experience with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Spimikins, SP McKins, maybe. Many shows are taking longer and longer in between seasons, such as Atlanta, Westworld, Game of Thrones, etc. That really anymore you can't count on a show premiering at the same time as it did for the last season at all. Add into that the idea that you're seeing more and more different season sizes depending on the show itself and what it calls for, and we've got the current state of big name shows and their scheduling as something very different than it was 5 to 10 years ago. Do you think this variability is a good thing or bad thing for TV shows, or do you think it just begins? Or just depends, rather. And he wants to know how this phenomenon might affect us in our podcasting as well.
It definitely affects us.
Yeah.
But I guess I've never considered how it affects television shows themselves.
Right. Because so our business, crazy as it is to think about, is a seasonal business. And those are always challenging. Like have you ever had a friend that does like yard maintenance? Like they really have to plan to make sure they don't run out of money during the dry spells. They have to usually drive a winter. They're like, hey, I really love landscaping, but guess what? I got to plow parking lots to make ends meet in the winter.
Yeah,
we've got a seasonal business where the seasons sometimes don't show up. Sometimes they move around.
Walking Dead during the winter to make ends meet.
Yeah, you gotta do that, and it's challenging because it was a lot easier when this shit came back like clockwork, and we knew that like, well, we'll get a big boost here and all that, and and
even just knowing what shows we can pick up, because like a show we pick up this year that fit perfectly into a slot will completely fuck us the next year,
and it's because it could suck or people could lose interest, or
I just mean it could overlap with 3 other shows.
And there's that too. You got the problem where like a show that would have been a solid performer in another time slot is now getting squeezed out, and that kind of sucks. So it makes it challenging, and that's one of the reasons like we have to be more conservative with our like the amount, like we can't ever think of the amount of money in our bank account as like that's our spend money, because we have to always think like, well, shit, what if Westworld gets pushed back another 6 weeks, or what if Game of Thrones gets moved to the fall instead of the spring next year? Like you just never know. So you have to say like, what is a reasonable and safe burn rate that we can keep in here? Because it's like there is a core nucleus of Bald Move people that are down for everything, but the vast majority of our audiences like follow us for particular shows or particular channels or whatnot. So it is challenging, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I would hate for them to rush back and have things be shitty.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, what will hurt Bald Move is like a video, like an early '80s video game style crash, where every Tom, Dick, and Harry channel is making top shelf drama, or maybe not, and it fragments the viewer base to where you can't scrape together. Yeah,
I mean that's something that I'm fairly concerned about going forward because of the fire hose that Netflix has turned on. Fragmenting the audience so much, because and like time shifting the fandoms. It's weird because like with Stranger Things, tons of people watch it and they're super
discovering
big
it every day.
fans.
Right.
The problem is it only lasts like a week out of the year.
For the big hype, yeah.
Right. The hype is over by the time we even get our mouths around the microphones. Like, I try not to literally eat the mic, but got to get pretty close to it. So it's changing like fandoms, because people aren't celebrating these shows for 10 to 24 weeks at a time, right? They're celebrating them for the 1 week where they're watching it and binging it, and then they're on to the next thing that Netflix has thrown out there that's probably just as good or close to as good. And we don't have the bandwidth to cover that kind of stuff in that way.
And it's also like, especially the Netflix model does not encourage like a 7-day gap in between showing the next one. That's what allows the theorizing. That's what allows the discussion. That's what allows the analysis. When you can just keep eating the bag of cookies until they're gone, like maybe you want to hear a wrap-up podcast, and there are people that like watch it and listen and because there's other people that see the value of slowing down, and those are the people we try to capture. Like, I'm going to watch this episode and listen to this podcast because this is a way to stretch out I don't want to just binge this in one night and it'd be over. But, you know, I also wonder, like, if some of that stuff has a very long tail because people are always discovering. And, like, if you feel like I just watched Stranger Things, but, like, I'm the last person on the planet to watch it. Oh, here's these guys over here discussing it to whatever depth I want. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the trouble is it's not very compatible with our business model.
Because the
advertising is a 2-month window.
Yeah.
For which you get paid.
Yeah.
And a lot of that. If that. And we're just not set up to capture any revenue from that sort of thing. So from a business perspective, it's a little scary.
And also to do it like in that marathon style, we just essentially burn a weekend. And how many weekends do you want to burn in the course of your life where you spend it away from your family and your friends and doing all that? So it's like it's funny because I remember like making fun of Alan Sepinwall for like, oh, this Netflix model, it's killing my. And I'm like, well, you lazy bastard. Like, you don't, it sucks not having fucking screeners that you can have all this shit ready. Well, now he's got screeners from Netflix shit. We don't. And he's got the last laugh. You know what? Screeners would, now that I'm thinking, screeners would help a lot on that stuff. Because it
would help, but I still don't think it changes the business model thing very much.
Yeah, you're right. It would help our workflow, but it wouldn't help the business model.
Yeah.
I think Netflix I don't think Netflix can kill the golden age of television, but I do think Netflix might be somewhat slitting their throat. Because, like, are they getting the bang for the buck for all this stuff? They're spending a lot of money.
And they're
it's money well spent.
Paying a lot in bandwidth, I suppose.
Right.
Like, do you want people watching more of your shows to keep them in your ecosystem and paying their subscription, or do you want the fewer shows to be bigger to keep them there?
Aren't we paying as much for them as HBO Go now?
Close to it, if not the same. Yeah.
Like, because I think we're up to $15 a month with our number of streaming devices and the quality.
Yeah.
And that feels like it's equivalent value.
Mm-hmm.
Like, HBO has bigger movies, and obviously they've got like a lot of the top dramas of all time.
Yeah.
But Netflix is no slouch.
Sure.
So, I mean, Netflix and HBO are probably the most indispensable things you would have if you were watching quality television right now.
Absolutely.
Everything else is more of, and everybody else is trying to fight to get into that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But, we'll see. Do you have a tweet?
Mike Regan says, another question here from Mike. Listening to your Westworld cast, Jim, you predicted what the maze was in the first episode. Impressive. Did I? Holy shit, I don't remember that.
That seems unlikely.
He says, a little too impressive considering your anti-robot agenda. Is Aaron the Dr. Ford to your Bernard? Did he create you to be a self-hating robist? Perhaps.
I didn't create him for sure.
We'll find out in season 2 of watching Westworld.
I've lashed myself to his ship for sure, but I don't know that I had a hand in his creation. Adsky says, Jim's return to his native lands got me thinking. Do you guys know when and why your ancestors moved from Italy and Germany to the land of the free? From Northern Ireland.
Not really, no. I know where they moved from. I don't know exactly when, and I don't know why at all.
I know my great-grandfather came across in the boat when he was like 6 in 1887, I want to say. And my great aunt, who just recently passed away and just has books and books and crates of genealogical information. One of the most profound gifts I've been given is I actually have my great grandfather's wedding certificate, like dated 1902, I think, which is super cool because he and I share the same name. But I would imagine, I never looked into it, but I imagine they were going for economic opportunity, the same as immigrants come to the country now. Like, land of the free is all great, but we got jobs, and for whatever reason they didn't like the prospects in Europe. So But that'd be a fascinating question. I wish I was doing a podcast when Aunt Ruby was still alive, because holy shit, I would love to just she could probably said a dozen different stories about our family's origins and stuff, and that stuff is like it's like tears in the rain now.
Yeah,
like I have to piece it back together from all this shit that she's left behind, if I could even get my hands on it. Hashtag bald lunch.
Guy Ferrari says, "Did you see my name in the credits of the new Pacific Rim movie?"
I did not.
I didn't either. They didn't let Guy Ferrari anywhere near that one.
I did not. It's like Kaiju Blue, your new hand toss salad or whatever. It's a calamari salad.
Yeah, it's the sauce that goes on the salad.
Fuck says, hey, with the first pedestrian fatality due to Uber self-driving cars, how big of a setback do you see this having on the future of self-driving car services?
Well, people were stupid, so probably pretty big. If they were smart, it would be basically none.
Right. I saw this, like, one of my favorite articles was like the final paragraph is like, while tens of thousands of traffic fatalities occur in the United States every month or year, this one was a historic. But since it's the first one involving an automated vehicle striking a pedestrian, which is ironic given self-driving cars' stated mission of reducing the risk of driving. And I'm like, what the fuck am I reading? Okay, how many hundreds of thousands of miles have cars driven self-driving before they've struck a pedestrian?
It's millions.
How many miles have humans driven before striking pedestrians? What's the per capita?
The horse.
I mean, honestly, I don't know.
The horse-drawn carriage got in front of the first Ford and just fucking plowed right into that.
I mean, I don't know what the statistics, but I gotta think the self-driving cars are now like they're. This was a tragic situation because, and there's all kinds of crazy shit that's getting in the way, like the fact that the driver was supposed to be like minding the vehicle, I guess, according to Arizona law, was like texting and maybe not paying as much attention, and they were a felon, so that's a fucking big deal. And also the car's own telemetry said that it spotted the pedestrian 0.9 seconds before it hit it, and given the speed it was traveling, which I think was like 38 miles an hour, they say that if it instantly applied to brakes like it was programmed to do, she should have still been alive. But the thing is,
you know what doesn't instantly apply brakes?
People.
Human beings.
And that's 0.9 seconds that the LiDAR
Yeah.
detected this woman in dark clothes pushing her bike across a highway at night. That woman would have been dead if I was driving the car with a fresh cup of coffee, paying the fuck attention, because it'd take me 0.2 to 0.3 seconds for my brain to even register, holy shit, there's someone in front of me, another quarter of a second for my foot to apply the brake, and at that point, like, I mean,
what's a brake gonna do at that point?
Yeah, so like
0.3 seconds to slow down.
If you cannot tell me, like, if you're upset about the self-driving car running down this woman and you can't tell me per capita the safety record of autonomous drivers in Arizona versus all other drivers in Arizona, then I question why you're getting upset, because my gut tells me that the self-driving cars probably have a better safety record. And also, even if these self-driving cars were murderous machines that killed like only half as many as humans, like the streets were running red, like this is going to save money. And I've yet to see this country do something that doesn't let corporations make more money.
Oh yeah,
it will be smoothed the fuck
fair.
over. It will be smoothed the fuck over.
Yeah.
So I'm not super worried about it. I just think it's super. I've been wondering what would happen when it happened. It finally happened, and exactly what happened I thought about.
I think the more interesting question is legally who's responsible.
Right.
But it's not even that interesting a question right now, because the law says the driver's supposed to be attentive at all times.
Right.
So it just, honestly, it comes down to the same old question that we would have if it were a human-driven car, human-operated car, and some woman was pushing her bike into the highway at night in dark clothes. Like, maybe you get brought up on involuntary manslaughter, you know?
Or reckless endangerment or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if it's against the law to text in Arizona, which I'm not sure it is. It does seem like the woman actually saw the pedestrian and react like she just wasn't fast enough to get, because you wouldn't be. Like, I don't know how liability works, because in my mind, like, if a perfectly performing driver could physically not save the person's life, I find it very hard that even if a person was not paying attention, you know, that like, or wasn't paying perfect attention. And the other thing I want to touch on, I find it hard to find that person guilty, but I don't know the law. And maybe the laws need to be changed, because the next point is it's scientifically proven, and some of these articles talked about this, that humans grow complacent in the face of automation, because the automation works 99.9999% of the time, and the human brain cannot maintain vigilance in that sort of reliability and safety. So if we pass a law that says a human being must remain vigilant, and they've got 1,000 hours in this car and it's driven itself the whole time flawlessly, it's probably that 99 out of 100 people in that behind that steering wheel would have lapsed their attention at some point. Are like, if the law doesn't account for predictable human behavior that's inevitable, it's not like some paragon of virtue could maintain ever vigilance. You know what is? The fucking AI. That's the only thing that's going to be eternally vigilant in that case. Like, maybe the laws need to change. Maybe the technology needs to account for the fact that if it's 99.999% accurate, the human is going as backup is essentially useless, because they'll be conditionally, operantly, behaviorally modified to accept a submissive role to this machine. But again, if it's 1 out of 100 of the deaths that humans cause, then why the fuck are we even arguing about this? We'll just have to accept that sometimes a robot is going to run your ass over and it's going to suck. Just like sometimes we get struck by lightning.
Exactly.
Sometimes planes crash. It's nobody's fault.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. And you could drive, but guess what? You're 10 times more likely to die in a fucking car. So fuck all statistics and everything.
Yep. Fuck it all.
We got time to take more. You got some hashtags.
Debbie C and me says, when is the season preview Westworld pod? It's 1 week before the show, the Tuesday that the show comes out.
Yeah. Texas Sandman from, you guessed it, Texas. My wife and I took her daughter to the zoo for the first time last weekend. It was a lot of fun, and she seemed to enjoy herself a great deal. One of the last exhibits we visited was the orangutans. I haven't read this, but I think I know what's coming.
Oh, no.
Afterwards, my wife and I had a discussion about how incredibly sad it is to see such a smart animal locked in an enclosure the whole life. Whoop, this took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. What are your feelings on zoos, and more specifically, the keeping of great apes in captivity? I get why and how they're good for wildlife conservation and allowing normal people to learn a bit about animals from around the globe, but looking into the eyes of that orangutan just bummed us out. Well,
it's not something I've given a lot of thought to, but perhaps it would warrant it.
I mean, I do think I mean, because I've thought about this a bit. Actually, I was forced to think about this in terms of Blackfish the movie, because you start thinking about how immoral it is to keep an orca captive, and then you start thinking about the dolphin program in Indianapolis Zoo, and the seals and the elephants, and like, yeah, they got 50 acres, but they're supposed to have 1,000, and they're like, you know, and you do research on how like obsessive compulsive disorders that some zoo animals get because they just essentially are kept in this unnatural condition. But on the other hand, as you say, zoos do are what is keeping some species in existence.
Right. The preservation angle I can kind of understand. It's for your own good. Like, you've got to take this medicine.
Right. And it's like, you know, it's funny because great apes, I think, are like, you know, like Coco, the sign language gorilla, like they are on the verge of being able to tell us if they think this is bullshit, but then also like they're not quite conscious enough to be like, okay, would you rather be free in the mountains of Africa and maybe you get your head and hands cut off by poachers, or die half the life you'd enjoy in the zoo because of natural disease and depredation and all that kind of stuff? Or would you rather be in this secure, comfortable thing? Like, that's where it's I don't know. It's more, to me, it's more about how we as humans feel about this situation. Like the apes, I don't think have an opinion on ethics and morality of it.
Right.
Like, how do we feel about it? And increasingly, I think we feel that this isn't right. And I'm sympathetic to that view. But zoos do have an important, like, they actually do the conservation shit SeaWorld says they do. So I don't know. It's one of those good problems where we're trying to figure out how to elevate and become better as a species. All right. Do you have another tweet?
Nope. That's all I got.
Okay. Here's a good one. Matt from Seoul. Aaron, you've mentioned that Jim left the Witnesses first and you left 5 to 7 years later. What was it like when you finally had the reunion? Was it high five, beers, and whiskey, or low key and somber as it was a scary time?
It was a little of both, I think, wasn't it?
Well, you talk about your experience, because I think my experience was different.
I mean, the first thing I remember about getting back together was having like Christmas dinner at a Chinese restaurant one year.
Is that what we did?
It's like the first thing I remember of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because neither of us had anybody to, celebrate Christmas with, even if we were willing to celebrate Christmas.
And also the complicated thing is I wasn't formally disfellowshipped when I first started hanging around you again.
Right.
And that must have been...
Yeah, there was a little bit of like discomfort, but it was also like, hey, this is really cool at the same time. Because, getting a friend back from what you viewed as this void of a religion is kind of an awesome thing.
What I think the fear is that like I've experienced this where I hang out with a witness that's kind of like backsliding or been inactive, or like, we have this nice reunion and then they get paying a guilty conscience and then they run back, and that one of the things they do because they're in a cult and they don't know any better is they use the social currency of dishing on the apostates as a way to like get in good graces back with the organization and the people in it. Like, oh, I saw how Aaron was living, and like, whatever. Or it's just that they run their mouth and they gossip, and that's what I'm kind of guarded around ex-witnesses that I think maybe there's a little bit of that, or you were afraid that was going to happen. But from my standpoint, like I had this weird thing where I was listening to you and Peter on this podcast, and you know how you can get like this false sense of intimacy, like, or it's not even false, it's a one-way intimacy.
Right.
So like when I hung out with you guys for the first time, it's like, to me, it was like almost nothing had changed because I had fallen back into your guys' dynamic, but from your perspective, I just had parachuted in through the ceiling. Hey, I'm done with this God shit. Let's play Magic. Teach me how to play Magic. So
yeah, I mean, I think it was more of like a discovery of who this person who used to be a friend of mine is right now.
Right.
Because like it had been years and years, and I didn't know who you were at that point.
And you were a kid. I mean, I
was pretty young when
we were hanging
out regularly.
Yeah, like you were like, the only reason that we probably hung out at all is because your dad would invite us older kids over, and your dad is such a, once in a lifetime type of character. Like, I'll never forget your dad till the day I die. He's just like this fucking thing. He's a legend. And you and your younger brother would elbow your way up to the table, and then you got to be a teenager, and that was interesting. But then you started going kooky, going off the script, and so it's like you. So if I knew the 16, 17-year-old version of you, like, how much did I really know you back when you know? Like, I mean, you're recognizably the same person, but you have a radically different
I've changed in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, we all have.
Yeah. So it was kind of a little awkward, sort of rediscovering an old friend,
and
who that person is now. That's
Plus, you had gotten ahead. Like I came out like being a lot more. You had a lot more time off and a lot more experiences. Like I was like fucking super offensive, probably. No, I know I was.
Sure.
Like, I would say really homophobic and transphobic. What I now appreciate is that in a joking way, like legitimately, like I wasn't trying to be an asshole. I was just making jokes, and there weren't any trans people or homosexual people to be. And like, you were the first person to be like, it's still not cool. Because like, I got to look my gay friend in the face knowing that my friend's like jokingly using the other F-bomb. Like, and I appreciate that, because I think a lot of people would just let that shit slide, or like, like, I'm not going to hang out with that guy anymore because he's saying that stuff, instead of like, make it in a challenge. Like, hey, you got to stop doing that. What the fuck's wrong with you?
All right.
So
there's that.
I think I'm going to try to do some high-speed stuff here.
Got some games to play.
Yeah, Commission podcast Reddit follows. It slipped. Will probably be 7 a.m. on Monday morning. In fact, I will make that happen after this podcast is done.
Okay.
Have we given season 1 of Westworld a second watch yet?
Nope, I'm about to, though.
I am too.
I got to do The Expanse first, but
yep.
Yeah.
Too Many Boogers from Colorado. That will last us for Flomo. Too Many Boogers from Colorado. Are you still guys going to do an Isle of Dogs pod at some point? Or going to see it even if you don't do a podcast?
Oh yeah, I'll see it. It's not one that I need to see on the big screen though.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bummer that it wasn't like more available in Cincinnati. I might even see it at the Art House because I only live 4 blocks from it. So and I like excuses to go see it there. But let's see. Maddie wants to know if we would join him and his co-host Robert for a Sea of Thieves adventure.
Sea of Thieves adventure?
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
In general, like I've said this before, like I've had great experiences playing with Bald Move people, and I'm still very close friends with people that I met 3, 4, 5, even 5 years ago in some cases when I first put out the call to play The Last of Us multiplayer. The problem is we're so much bigger now that like I worry that if I say yes, then like because that happened in Destiny. Like I had like hundreds of friends requests coming in, and I can't play with all of them. And like it's a really cool, awesome experience for the people playing with me. And I'm not. This is not an ego. It's a unique, but it's literally the same interaction for me every time. Like, oh, hey, it's so cool to play with you, and oh, what do you think about this thing, and what do you think about this movie, and what do you think about? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm wanting to blow alien heads off, you know. So like, I feel like it makes me seem like a big timer, but it's just like you can't like my friends list on PlayStation filled the fuck up. I couldn't invite my brother-in-law to play with me. So like that's the concern. That's the concern I have, is that like if I say yes, then how do I say no in the future?
My concern is playing online games with people I don't know.
Well, yeah, and that's stressful too because like, you know,
I'm just a little more antisocial.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing is like I wish there was better controls because like no friends list I'm aware of lets you be like, hey, when I'm feeling like super strong and like ready for a new experience, let all this sea of humanity in. Otherwise, I want this immediate circle of friends to be able to join me. But even then, also, like if you fucking send me a party request while I'm watching Netflix, I'm gonna fucking not like it. Like there needs to be some kind of granular, like I don't need 30 friend like party requests while I'm trying to watch Daredevil or whatever.
Like Google's Circles idea.
Yeah,
like that.
Honestly, yeah. If there was, and I know Facebook does that, but I'm not aware of any game service that allows you to like set that up a granular, and then I'd have to maintain it and fuck all that. So anyway, let's see. Bourbon Queen doesn't watch Game of Thrones, but is excited to meet us at Con of Thrones since she lives in Dallas. Wants to know if we have our schedule lined up for your panels. No, actually, we just started talking this week about the panels that we're going to be involved in. And as far as the schedule, if it goes like last year, I doubt they'll have the schedule out more than a week or two in advance. But we might want to start talking about like a off-campus or maybe on-campus Bald Move meetup. So like, you know, regardless of what happens Saturday night at 7 p.m., we will be here hanging out kind of thing. But then again, they could book us for the Red Wedding at 6 p.m. Sunday night or Saturday night, and then what do we do? So
we show up to the meetup in our costumes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
20 minutes late.
That's the thing. Like, we just have to see how the schedule goes because our concern now, since people are paying us to be here and flying us out and putting us up, and we're not spending like this is like we're expected to perform at a certain level, and my it's like used to be like, hey, we'll come to the con and do these panels and we'll do whatever the fuck we want. Now I feel like we have to kind of make sure that the con is happy with us, you know.
Yeah,
like that's the priority
absolutely.
rather than meeting people, but that's important too. So stay tuned.
I think we'll do something.
Yeah, for sure. And there's like already on the forum, I think there's already a planning thing for like people are nominating breweries and restaurants and hangout places, and we might want to get together with that. But yeah, I definitely want to it'd be cool to have a Bald Move meetup / party. And that's all we got for the week. We made it through.
All right.
We're going to take a couple minutes break, and then we'll be on twitch.tv / Bald Move playing something here in like 15-20 minutes. If you'd like to join us over there, we're going to spend some of the afternoon doing that. The Twitch stuff is kind of like Monday and Wednesdays are sure things. maybe some stuff on the weekends, maybe some stuff in the evenings. If you follow us, I think you get notifications on your mobile device when that happens. And we try to go live like 5 minutes early to kind of give people time to queue up and get in the chat and get ready. And then if you missed the live view, all of our like last 2 weeks catalog is available on twitch.tv/baldmove. And we're also slow boating that over to YouTube too, to stuff that's good. So if you'd like to care to join us over on Twitch, you can. If not, we'll see you on the next lunch. Until then, I'm Aaron. Have a great week.